Zero Chill, where we talk about what we want, whatever we want, how we want. Today I got a special guest. Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Raise TJ, yeah, this is Chris Conn here with the Last Call podcast, and TJ, I'm looking forward to it. It's the start of a new NFL season. I know you're excited, you're happy. I know I have my little college football thing here going for the projections, so I apologize. I'm getting my own bearings together, but you're the host, so let's start by going. What do you want to talk about? What are we talking about today with the new NFL season?
Well, for people who know to this podcast, this is not a censored podcast. You can say whatever you want. So I'm gonna have my man Chris start his ether with the Washington Vice President comments. What you gotta say about that, Chris?
Uh, it's where do you start? I mean, you go down the rabbit hole, and the first thing you think is, how the hell did this guy, get away with saying this? Then you start thinking, holy crap, literally like. Here's what's worrying about it is there's probably a lot of people like Rail and Teen who, if you haven't heard yet, he has been fired by the Washington Commanders for calling fans on a video shared by O'Keefe Media Group, who they expose more people than basically a pervert in the middle of Times Square. That's a whole different thing. But yes, see. By the way, you and me, TJ, as football fans, I guess we are mouth breathers and high school educated alcoholics.
Yeah, man.
He's also said that the Commanders roster is, quote, a big chunk of low income African Americans that come from a community that is inherently very homophobic.
He said that for real?
Yes, he said that for real. He also said there's also a bunch of white players who are, Bible belt thumpers who also hate gays. And he also discussing, Jerry Jones said, quote, Jones really runs the NFL, and, quote, I think he hates gay people and black people. Well, yeah, congratulations, Ray and team. You are the dumbest man on the planet. And,
say his name for the viewers. What's his full name?
That is his full name, Rail and Teen.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now. That's crazy. It's crazy that you in predominantly black city, and the NFL is predominantly black, over like 85%, and you said, what he say again? He ain't gays or people just sit on their egg.
To quote, and it's not me making up stuff, this is actual quotes that he said on the video, quote, we football fans are mouth breeders and high school educated alcoholics. So there's strike one. Strike two, the Commanders roster is made up of white Bible God-fearing Bible thumpers who hate gays, and that the roster is also full of a big chunk is low-income African Americans that come from a community that is inherently very homophobic.
What?
And once again, as he said to Jerry Jones, that, quote, he really runs the NFL, and, quote, I think he hates gay people and black people.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it.
You can imagine just the NFL looking, going, oh.
See, that's the problem. It's like it's a bunch of people in position who still got the old way of thinking, against certain people, So it's like for you to say that so public. Well, it was a hidden recording, but what do he do behind the scenes towards people of color, or I'll say towards people, period, who he got discrimination against? What do he do? What's all the things he has done that's been covered up? You get what I'm saying? Like, for him to say that, it's like you've been thinking that way. And who's all the people around you that think that way? Because he's not the only one. He's just the only one that got caught. But how many other people in position that think like him still got that mentality of the old ways, I'll say?
Well, here's the scary part if you're the NFL is that before he did this, here's what he's been with the Washington Commanders for 4 years. So he was there, when Daniel Snyder was there.
Mm.
And before that, he worked for a year. By the way, he's also with Blue Wire Podcast. So he is a content strategist. That job probably went kerfunkel, or he did. He was the senior director of social media for the XFL from 2018 to 2020. Before that, he worked 2 years for the New York Jets as the director of social media and digital marketing. And he was working for the NFL for a couple of years. So, yeah, this is if you're the NFL, is the sort of scary part is that there's people in the NFL who sort of believe what he believes, and they're pushing the political agendas, they're pushing the stuff. And if you're a player, and remember, there's, contracts come up now a lot. You're having, probably soon they got to do, the NFL is trying to get, their next bargaining rights agreement. If you're the NFL players and you're reading stuff like this and you realize, holy crap, this guy got installed by the NFL and some of these teams, how much are you going, oh, I really don't want to deal with these, MFers here. It's just, this is bad for the NFL because it just shows that there's too many people who have these sort of, as you said, offensive, thoughts, offensive views. They're trying to have a political agenda, and they are basically infested into the NFL. And all it takes is just one of these guys to get outed. Next thing you know, a lot of players are going, "Oh, this is what he really think of me." Well, the NFL can go F itself.
That's crazy, man. Like, you see, stuff like that be making me mad because I'm in the workforce now. So when it's like now, the fact that people still got that mentality. I went through a lot of things in high school and college. We ain't even gonna get on that though, because I don't want nobody to sue me for whatever. It's like the fact that he said that with other people around. Like I said, he been saying that. That man didn't just start that. And then Washington, what did they president or what's his name? The president just get in trouble for the pedophile scandal or the sex ring scandal.
The Epstein thing, that's a whole different ball of wax. But for the NFL, it's just like, how did this guy get in here? Like, how did nobody sort of like vet this guy and go, oh yeah, well, he's kind of somebody we don't want, around talking to people. Like, and as I said, if you're new management, why did you not fire him when you first took over? Like, clean sweep, get rid of everybody who's associated with Daniel Snyder. Like, the fact that he was still there on this team is just like mind-boggling. Where it's like, oh god, you saw. I mean, we talked about with Daniel Snyder a couple of years ago on Into the Lab, and it was literally like hell with a lot of just people on edge, a lot of bullying, a lot of just discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
And so you figured, okay, Snyder's gone, the new ownership is in, they're going to just clean up house, and this guy was still there. And he only got fired because he basically got outed by O'Keefe Media, which is just, it's bad. I mean, this is just one of those things where you're looking going, holy crap. This guy was in power. How many more are like him in power in other organizations? And it's like, oh god, because it's not just one. There's probably multiple people in around these organizations who have similar thoughts like him, and you're just wondering, like, now all of a sudden, if you're a player going on, like, does this guy really think what it is? Blah blah blah. Or, if you're even a Kansas City Chief or a Dallas Cowboy or an Atlanta Falcon, you probably have to look sideways, not management. Like, what do they really think about me? Once they get a couple of drinks and there's like,
that's the thing when it comes to the NFL, players gotta look at just look at management. Or sometimes your best friend could be somebody who think like that. But moving on, we gotta move on to the next topic, the next ether segment. Ja'Marr Chase. What you want to say about Ja'Marr Chase?
Well, he finally came back to practice. So, hurrah, hurrah. Oh, this has just been, he's testing the Bengals. And it's, from what you're hearing out in Bengals camp, it's not been the greatest of camps. I mean, you have T. Higgins, who wanted out, begged him for a trade, didn't want to trade him, so he's stuck there for another year because he's not happy with the franchise tag. And now Jamar Chase is going, yeah, you know what? I saw what Amon St. Brown got. I definitely saw what Brandon Ayuk got. CD Lamb got that. Oh, yeah. Justin Jefferson. So now he wants to have his contract renewed despite having 2 more years left, this year and next year. So, yeah, he's basically held out for most of camp. And he's finally, hopefully, is back. It's, he's still not happy. I mean, if you're the Bengals, this is just like, holy crap! This basically a crap show is going on, and it makes them look cheap. It's like, okay, this should have been. You wonder somebody should have handled this a while ago and not let it get to this point. But yep, here we are with the Bengals, who are supposed to be Super Bowl caliber favorites, and Jamar Chase until Wednesday had not been going to practice. He was like, no, I want my contract redone.
Yeah, I seen Jamar Chase, but you gotta look at it. When you a player of his status, you want your contract, you want your money. I stated this on previous podcasts. NFL players want to get paid. They don't have time for we go wait till you get this amount of yards, or we go wait in the future. They want to get paid now. They want guarantees. It's not like the old days where it wasn't a lot of guaranteed contracts. Players now have matured. They done did a little research. They want guaranteed contracts. So I get what you're saying with Jamar Chase to sit in that part, but you also got to look at what if he get injured in practice? Bam, season over. He's not getting no money.
True, but TJ, he hasn't even filled his first contract yet. It's like, yeah, you have a 5-year contract here. Well, I really don't feel like playing those 4th and 5th years unless you really redo my contract. So I'm not. I mean, this is just. It just shows the maturity of them. I mean, look, I get it. Players want to get paid, and I'm all for players getting paid. But at what point, if you can't then, it's one thing if it's like the last year of your contract and look, I want to renegotiate, and you play on that. Okay, I get it. When you still have 2 years left, what's the point then of signing a goddamn contract?
You think it's that Super Bowl they went to the first year?
I think he's just looking around. He's going, oh, wait a minute. Brandon Ayuk got paid a lot of money. Wait a minute. Amon St. Brown got paid a lot of money here. No, wait a minute. Oh, whoa. And hey, this CD Lamb fellow, he got paid a lot of money. So yeah, he's looking around, and I get it. He wants to get paid, and while I'm all for that. It's just, this is a guy who he can't. I think what hurt is that what Detroit did, which was they offered a contract extension. They wanted to get everything taken care of. They wanted to get their ducks lined up in a row. And so remember, Amon St. Brown came out the same year as Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
When Amon St. Brown signed that 4-year, $120 million extension, you knew, but okay. Jamar Chase is looking at that. Justin Jefferson's looking at that. And Justin Jefferson then signed a bigger contract. And CD Lamb looked and went, I want that. And Brandon Ayuk. So this is now unless you have a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen and a quarterback who they can just make it work with anybody, if you're a team now, you're going to have to pay a wide receiver a crap ton of money because that's the going rate. And Jamar Chase is forcing the issue right now.
I feel like the wide receiver is about to get paid the same as the quarterbacks in a minute because I feel like every year a quarterback get what they say extra max or super max extension. The next thing you know, it's like the wide receiver they get paid more. It's like the gap between the wide receivers and quarterback pay. They just steady closing in because I feel as if wide receivers starting to feel like without us. You wouldn't have all them yards. You wouldn't have all them endorsements. You wouldn't have all them accolades. So I get why wide receiver agents on this. Well, yeah, the quarterback threw 5,000 yards, but my player, he caught 2,000 of them. So I believe he should get paid only like $10 million less. You get what I'm saying? It feels as if wide receivers, I respect that they're knowing their value because there was a point with wide receivers, it was like unless you was like a Randy Moss or Terrell Owens or Jerry Rice or somebody of that status, it's like you was getting paid mediocre money. But now I feel as if the game has evolved, offensive has evolved, so wide receivers almost getting paid the same as the quarterbacks. It's the running back position. Yeah, let's go. It's the running back position. I feel is getting paid less. What you feel about the running back pay?
Here's the simple answer: you can find a running back as low as the 7th round and still do well. I mean, look at last year's Final Four teams, and you start looking around. And it's like, who are their running backs? Kansas City Chiefs. They got, they basically it's Patrick Mahomes and who was their high round pick, and their running back was a guy who pretty good. Hey, look, I love Isaiah Pacheco, but he was a 7th round pick. It's what they picked him off a scrappy, basically one of the last picks in the 7th round and put him in there, and that's how it is. You go to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they got their before that Nixon second. He was a 2nd round pick. They let him go. They're now going with somebody different. The Baltimore Ravens. Look at what they did last year. Yeah, it was Lamar Jackson. He's fantastic. He's worth that pit. He's worth that. But you look at that rest of the team, and they're running backs, 2nd rounders, 4th rounders. Sometimes you guys pick up. It's just you can find them easily. And after 4 or 5 years, they get beaten up, and then you find a new running back, and it's just here it is. It's a passing league. Quarterbacks are very in demand. Tackles are high in demand. Receivers for some teams are high in demand, but you can still give them a 2nd round. Running backs, you can find them now a dime a dozen, and it's just, plug and play. It's it.
A position on offense that don't went down, a skill position, tight ends. I feel like this era of George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, and all them, and Joker from the Browns. I got to represent Cleveland. Joker from the Browns. It's like, I feel like this is like the last good decade. I feel like the tight end position, even if you look at college, is going downhill. They're more becoming like a wide receiver 5th option, depending on the formation, or they're becoming basically a fullback. Because we all know fullback position. They've been trying to get rid of that since the 2010s hit. So I feel like the tight end position is going. I feel like once Travis Kelce and all them retire, I feel like it's going to be non-existent unless we just get another.
I disagree with that. I'm sorry, TJ, I love you, but I disagree. I think the new crop of tight ends is even as good. I mean, there's Kelce, there's Kittles, every old guard, and then you got Mark Andrews from Baltimore, still a guy who's when he's healthy, he's probably even as good as those guys. Let's not forget Sam Laporta, who came out of nowhere last year for Detroit and was just probably one of the top 5 offensive rookies in the league.
Yeah, but they're more like 5-yard outs or curl routes. Like or they like 5 out. There's no more like Shannon.
Well, that's what tight end is now. I mean, most teams are using tight ends because it's all right. They're big enough where they're strong enough where they can muscle safeties and cornerbacks, but they're fast enough where they can beat linebackers. So who do you put up with them? Look, we've seen it now. There's so many young quarterbacks coming out that as much as we want a great wide receiver, you need a tight end to be that safety net, that guy you can get right in the middle of the field, get that 7-8 yards, turn it into 10 and 12. A guy who just is, the safety blanket. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Pat Freiermuth from the Steelers, whether it's, as you said, your guy David Njoku from Cleveland Browns,
Joker.
Trey McBride is had a slow start, but he turned it up in Arizona. Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts. I mean, the league. It seems every team now has like a tight end where they can just get you those, 5 catches, 60 yards, and that's a safety blanket. That's the guy, the quarterback can look and go, I need this 3rd and 6th. Where am I going to go? Oh, there's my tight end.
Speaking of tight ends, let's talk about Taylor Swift and her man, Travis Kelce. You think he 35? I think he about to be 36, but I know he's 35 years old. It's some rumors, speculations going around. This might be the last season. He about to retire. You think Travis Kelce? You think this is last ride per se?
I don't think he's going to retire after this year. He talked to Kansas City Chiefs people, and they said, well, he's thinking about it. The end is closer, but it's not. He has a 2-year deal, and it's this year, next year. Now, after I think next year, that's when it'll be interesting because, look, him and his brother signed a record, deal for their podcast, A New Heights, which
100 million.
Yeah, so he's already doing movies. He's going to be starting a new movie coming out. He's been doing a lot more, I would argue, commercials, whether it's Pfizer, Walgreens, DirecTV, Nike, Papa John's, Bud Light. I mean, if it's basically any commercial right now, he's taking over for Peyton Manning, just being like, the commercial whore, which, hey, no problem with doing that. He's just finding a way to do it, but I don't think he'll retire and leave the NFL money on the table. I think after 2 years, which will help solidify him as maybe the best tight end to ever play in the game stat-wise until the next guy comes around, it'll be two more times he can get a bite of a Super Bowl, and his contract runs out. And by the way, here's something people forget. His contract runs out the same time Tony Romo's contract comes out with CBS. So there's a lot of people who don't like Romo. Imagine if Travis Kelce retires and then all of a sudden is replacing Tony Romo in the CBS booth because he will be the hottest free agent on the TV market when he comes out. There was going to be like a bidding war for him just to literally be there and make his quips, his quotes, his jokes. And, if his brother got big money for Amazon Prime, Travis is going to get just as big money, if maybe even more, from CBS or NBC or Fox or even Netflix.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It'll be like, if you take away the Taylor Swift, all that, I actually like Travis Kelce. He's from Cleveland. I'm going to represent anything Cleveland, most Cleveland. So it's just like, the fact that he about to retire, I feel like he's been in the league since forever. I mean, he went to Cincinnati, Kentucky. So it feel like he's been in the league forever. But, moving on, I want to talk about this head coach. It's his head coach in the league, Antonio Pierce. I don't see a lot of people talking about him. But how you feel, I'm going to let you go first. How you think he going to do his first year with the Raiders?
I like Pierce. And look, he's come up through the old way. I mean, he was a guy who was a head coach in high school, then, went to college after 3 years and, coached in Arizona State with Herm Edwards as a linebackers coach, recruiting coordinator, then defensive coordinator, joins the Raiders, takes them over last year, after basically they had a mutiny against Josh McDaniels. Look, he can motivate people. He plays the game. He knows, the ins and outs. It's going to be now. Look at that Raiders team. That is a bad team. When you look deep down, it's like Gardner Minshew is your starting quarterback. Was it by design or was it, well, they could? I mean, you talk to people inside the league, and they were the team that was praying for Michael Penix to drop. And when Penix got taken, number 8, I think that threw him off because all of a sudden they missed out on McCarthy. They missed out on, Penix. They weren't sold on Bo Nix, and Bo Nix got taken before them. So this is what their roster is. Your starting roster is Gardner Minshew at quarterback, either Alexander Madison, Zamir White as your tailback. I like Devontae Adams, but, how much longer is he going to be effective? And that offensive line it's a hot mess. You're looking at it, and it's going to be another defensive, effort by that team.
You think they can pull out the 2000
Can they keep it up? Or there were games last year where it was, they beat the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and the whole team, and it was sick, and that team was on free-for-all. Or they beat bad teams like the Jets, who had no quarterback, the Giants, who were starting on their third-string quarterback. I mean, that's when, he sort of did a lot of his damage in his 5-4 record. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'm rooting for him. It's just in the NFL, it doesn't matter sometimes how good of a coach you are. If you don't have talent, you're screwed.
I don't know. They could pull out the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens, you know.
Yeah, but you look at those teams, and they were, the 2000 Ravens. We joke about it, but it's like, okay, yeah, they had two of the greatest players of their generation on defense alone in Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. And then you look around, and it's, they also had Sam Adams, they had Rod Woodson, they had Pro Bowler running. They had Jonathan Ogden on offense, Rod Woodson at safety. Yeah. Even the running game, you had Priest Holmes and Jamal Lewis. You had
Jamal Lewis was that though.
I mean, your defensive line was Siragusa, Dalius Thomas, Adams, and Michael McCrary. The rest of your linebackers, Peter Bolaware. You had Ray Lewis. You had Jamie Sharp. I mean, look how much depth that team had in terms of like stud players.
Mm-hmm.
Who do the Ravens have outside of, I would argue, Max Crosby? But you look at that team and go, all right, well, it's Pro Bowl level talent. And I mean, it's good, but their linebackers are a bunch of guys who nobody really stands out. I mean, if Kanai Mauga, you have Robert Spillane. They drafted Amari Gaynor and Tommy Eichenberg. They're pretty good, but not great. Christian Wilkins, I like him, but that's only still two players. And then it's defensive. Your secondary. They brought in a lot of people for secondary. But look at it was like for their draft. They drafted cornerbacks in the 7th round, 4th round. They drafted a safety. I think they're a good little team that basically is still like several parts away from being, a very good 2 playoff team.
I believe the Raiders started believing their own hype. Remember they started drafting punters like, what is it? I'm not even about to say his name. Stephen somebody.
Leckler, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Then it's like the Raiders was that team in the 80s and 90s before I was even born, but it started like when the 2000s hit after that Super Bowl loss to the Buccaneers. I don't know. They started believing they own hype where, the Raiders used to be drafting off-brand players and they end up becoming great. I feel like they started doing that when they just started drafting. What's that quarterback they took from LSU?
Jamar Russell. Oh, it's been
Jamar
Russell. A crap show. I mean, here are your last 10 Raiders first-round picks. Last year, you had Tyree Wilson, who's had an up and down season.
Mm-hmm.
They then traded away, their 2022 pick for Devontae Adams as well as their 2nd-round pick. So that means no new players here. 2021, you go, and their first-round pick was, here's a doozy for you, Alex Leatherwood, who basically was out of the Raiders after 2 years. Henry Ruggs and DeMonte Arnett, both guys flamed out after a year because of either legal actions. So
Henry Ruggs.
And then you go back to 2019, when they had 3 first-round draft picks, and it was Cleveland Farrell, not with the team anymore, Josh Jacobs left in free agency, and Jonathan Abram, who not with the team anymore. I mean, the great player, they got one excellent player in that draft. That was a 4th-round pick in Max Crosby, but you can't keep doing this every year and like misfiring on 1st and 2nd-round picks and then expect to be good.
It's like the Raiders. I don't know. It feels like they used to be that destination team, but it's like they don't became like the bottom feeders, mid-tier. It's like they keep trying to do the old, we gonna draft off-brand or random players, or we gonna take a chance on this super hyped up player, and then we gonna see how it goes. No, you have to actually scout. Not saying they're not scouting. It's just a part. It's like they just be. I don't know what they be doing.
Here's what they're doing is they are basically changing coaches and GMs like they're basically changing underwear. It's Reggie McKenzie and Jack Del Rio. Well, no, they didn't. They only lasted 3 years. I got to change them. So, Mark Davis fires them, brings in the team of Mike Mayock and John Gruden. Gruden gets caught with basically the emails. He gets fired. Mayock gets fired, and then you thought you had a good coach in Rich Bisaccia. Players wanted him. Players were begging at the time for him to be the head coach. What does Davis do? Nope, I'm going a different direction. Brings in Josh McDaniels, brings in Dave Ziegler. They last for basically a year and a half, and then they're fired. And now we're on to what? Antonio Pierce and not even Champ Kelly. Their sixth GM in Tom Telesco. I mean, this is what happens when you have a bad owner basically changing everything after 2 or 3 years. You get chaos.
Moving on from the Raiders, feel like we talk about them enough. That team just horrible. Devontae Adams, my last topic on this, I think they just picked him up because they needed somebody to fill the seats to bring in the revenue and jersey sales. That's all I'm gonna say. But without Marvin Harrison, Ohio State alumni, drafted top 5-10 pick to Arizona Cardinals. Now, we know the Cardinals been having up and down season with Kyler Murray. They came in red hot. They was getting big. They was getting old players, J.J. Watt, Zach Ertz, players like that. DeAndre Hopkins, they had 1 point. Now I feel like the Cardinals are on this coasting slope. So how you feel with Marvin Harrison coming in, Marvin Harrison Jr., how you feel like he about to do with Kyler Murray? How you think that duo about to do?
I think right now the best thing that's happened to him is that he has not been the focal point in terms of receiver, draft pick this year. I mean, it's funny. We were talking about off air a lot of guys, and it's like, who's made the news? And it was, Harrison was drafted number 4, but you're hearing more about, Malik Neighbors is going to be a star. He's going to be great. He's going to be awesome with the Giants. And then all of a sudden you hear, oh, wait a minute, this Roma Dunze kid, hey, him and Caleb Williams are going to be tearing it up. We've even heard, hey, Xavier Worthy, Rookie of the Year, bank on him and Patrick Mahomes. Oh, this is salivating. And you haven't heard a lot from Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think, I think he's going to be fantastic. He's not the deep threat speed guy that Neighbors is or Worthy. This guy who's just going to blow by you, but he can do the outs. He can do over the middle. He has an excellent hands, and he's physically big, so he can take the pounding. It's going to be interesting to watch. I think he's going to have a sneaky great year. I think it's going to help, though, that there's no pressure. Like, the national media is not, focusing on him. It's been, Malik Neighbors in New York. Oh, it's Odunze and Caleb in Chicago. Oh, it's going to be Xavier Worthy, cutting up with Patrick Mahomes. Oh, look at those 40-yard touchdown bombs. I mean, and yet Harrison's going to be able to just develop, thrive, and, flourish and not have people just focus obsessively on him.
So, my opinion, I think Marvin Harrison, rookie season, he going to have, 800 to 1,000-yard receiver. I'm going to give him at least 7-8 touchdowns to start off with because I believe as time goes on, because, the transition to college to NFL completely different. Yeah, the NFL getting younger, but it's completely different. So, I feel like once he get used to the offensive scheme, and he get used to he a good route runner. I call him possession receiver because, like you say, even though he's not a deep threat, even when he do run deep, he gonna always grab it, get down. I never seen him. It's rare I ever seen him just catch it and keep running because he was always double, triple coverage in college. So I call him possession receiver. Overall, yeah. I believe he's going to become wide receiver number 1. I give it by the end of his rookie year or next year, he's going to become wide receiver number 1. Kyler Murray, I believe this is where the Cardinals about to see if he's really about to be the next quarterback for the next 5 or 6 years because, like I've said, he's just been coasting. Like, he's just been it's like Kyler Murray, I don't know if it's the coaches, the the playbook or what, like the Cardinals, it's like they was red hot, they was Super Bowl contenders. They signed all these big time players, and now they just, we just here. So with this pick from the Cardinals with Marvin Harrison, yeah, they ain't got no choice but to be good now. And I believe their defense is decent. I believe they've lost some key players, but the Cardinals overall, they still got a wild card playoff team.
Can Kyler Murray hold up? That's going to be the big question. I mean, this is a guy who is small for quarterbacks. Now, granted, he has the athletic ability, but you've always heard, I mean, he's 5'10", 207 pounds. This isn't one of those guys who's, like Josh Allen who can take a licking and keep on ticking. He's had a lot, he's coming back from last year where, he basically had, the knee injury, which screwed everything up. The torn ACL that he suffered in 2022, kept him out for almost a lot of 2023. I don't know. I mean, I worry because there was always the whispers of him. Well, he likes playing video games more than he likes playing quarterback. Well, he's too soft. Well, he's not big enough. This is a big year for him. It's going to be the year where he needs to put up or shut up because, look, I know he signed a 5-year deal, but if this happens again in Arizona, you're looking around going, well, let's see if we can flip him. Let's see if we can maybe go again in the draft and take our chances. And then, because remember, the GM and the head coach did not draft him. He is not their guy.
But yeah, moving on, another quarterback. This is gonna be short. Dak Prescott. You think Jerry getting old? You think management about to get rid of Dak, or you think they about to keep him for another year or two?
Super Bowl or bust. That's been the motto over in Dallas. Is it Super Bowl or bust? I don't know. It's you never know with Jerry Jones. He, on one hand, he can basically screw up contracts himself. He likes to try to sometimes be the smartest guy in the room. I get it. But if you're the Cowboys, and once again, this doesn't happen. This is, let's say, a first-round exit.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily see them letting, Dak go and trying their luck with, hey, let's get Carson Beck. Hey, let's get, Quinn Ewers. Or, hey, let's bring in Shedeur Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys. That's a Jerry move. That's one of those big, sexy moves. He can go, hey, I had prime time, and now I got baby prime as my new quarterback. And as much as I love to tease Ernest, he can even do that where he just goes, hey, the next head coach and quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, Shedeur Sanders, and your new Dallas Cowboys head coach, primetime Deion Sanders. Ernest is sitting there going, oh crap, this could actually happen. Jerry could actually pull this. We gotta reach out to Stephen. Somebody talk him out of this.
I'm just tired of hearing about that. Like, it's like every time you look up every year, it's like this. I call it the Tony Romo effect. Remember, everybody was tired of Tony Romo. Oh, he not winning no Super Bowls. We can't even make it to the championship game. We can't even know they was. We can't do this. And Cowboy fans just be irking me, man. It's like, they like Patriots fans, Brady era on steroids. It's like, they just so naive, ain't even funny, man. But it's like, yeah, if y'all gonna get rid of that, just get rid of that. If you gonna keep that, keep that. Stop just with the, oh, we getting rid of that, we not getting rid of that. You either keeping that or getting rid of that. It's just that simple. You draft that court every time the Cowboys in the first or second round, everybody think they drafted a quarterback, and then when they don't, it be, I guess we keeping Dak again. Like, come on now. I think this is just a media scandal. I think this is just to get the Cowboys some pre-season hype before the regular season started, and then when Dak don't make it to the championship game or he don't go to Super Bowl, Oh, I guess we gonna have to get ready to trade Dak. Yeah, okay. If y'all if y'all gonna get rid of Dak, y'all would got rid of Dak because the fact y'all didn't get rid of Dak. I mean, like it just is what it is, man. At this point, what's your final thoughts on it, though?
I don't know. As I said, it's Jerry Jones, one of those guys who look. He is an NFL Hall of Famer. He changed the way the game was viewed, marketed, and produced. He has an eye for talent, but between the coaches and the quarterback, he has not got it right since the days of Aikman and Jimmy Johnson. And look, this could be one of those things where Dak and the team, finally realize they have potential, make a run to the Super Bowl, or they could be a first-round exit, and Jerry's basically going, all right, it's time for the Sanders family to return back to D. Anything is possible in Dallas. That's why people love Dallas Cowboys. It is the greatest live option soap opera reality show there is.
Ain't it though? Yeah, man. Final topic before we wrap this up. Thank you all who's still watching. I hope everybody's still watching by this point. I'm gonna clip and edit this later. But I hope everybody's still watching. This is our final topic for the first episode of TJ McKinley Sports Podcast, aka Zero Chill. My boy, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun, you was out a whole season basically last year. You got this massive contract. You done renegotiated, restructured the contract. Okay, that's cool. And word is, I know how media like to come with these fancy titles. You talk about low expectations. Deshaun, man, if the Browns don't make it to the championship game or the Super Bowl, it's a bust season. Especially since Myles Garrett and them. I think we got some of the best defense in the whole league. But Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns defense basically was ranked number 1 and 2 all season. That's how we really was in a lot of them games we won was the defense. Because offense, I don't know, they trying to do the West Coast offense, the spread. It's like they were just trying stuff. But defense, we was always solid on defense. So my question to you, Chris, how you think with all the starters returning and the Deshaun Watson coming back, how you think the Browns gonna do this year? What's your expectations for them?
I have no idea, and that's the problem because on paper, yes, they have talent. I mean, this is a talented roster. Could they have used a wide receiver, an extra, stud wide receiver? Probably, but they still got an excellent offensive line. Their defense, front four is just phenomenal. Denzel Ward is a shutdown cornerback. It's just, as you said, and it's fine with Deshaun Watson because, at one point, he was some people would have argued he was probably the second best young quarterback, even as good as Patrick Mahomes when he first started out. I mean, you look at his 2018, 2019, and even 2020 season, it's 26 plus touchdowns, 33 in 2020. He was 9, 12, and 7 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
He's, took Houston to the playoffs in 2018, 2019. He was going toe-to-toe with Mahomes at one point, and then basically ever since, that 2021 season where he sat out, it's been just like awful. It's been injuries. It's been, the sexual allegations with the masseuses. It's been just, him being, looking like at times he has lost some of the mojo with his skills at quarterback. I mean, it's staggering for a guy who, when he came out, there were people who were saying, "Hey, this will be the next franchise quarterback," and people were being proven right. So I don't know. I could see this team going all the way to the AFC Championship game. I could also see this team, basically finishing third in their division and not making the playoffs. It's because it's you don't know. You don't know. Is Watson fully healthy? Is he going to stay healthy? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
They are the most bipolar team right now in the NFL in terms of what the expectations. It could be great, it could be terrible. We're not sure. Oh my God, I'm starting to freak out, people, if I'm a Browns fan.
Dude said Bob Polly thing. Yeah, man, it's something like that, man. It's like if the defense injuries start piling up, we're not going to make a championship game. If defense, because I'm really banking on the defense staying healthy. So if the Browns defense stay healthy, oh, we're going to championship game. I don't know about Super Bowl. I'm not.
But that's the question, though. I mean, right now, who do you take, Ravens or Cleveland? And you have to go with the Ravens because they have the better overall team. Lamar Jackson is right now a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson. And then we're not even talking about the Chiefs, who they'll probably be the number one seed again. And probably as long as Mahomes is there, they'll be in at least the AFC Championship game. Now you got Houston coming up. Now you also have Cincinnati still waiting in the weeds. The Dolphins, the Bills. I mean, I guess that's the biggest problem with Deshaun Watson is that unlike in the NFC where there's maybe 2 or 3 quarterbacks and then a huge drop in the AFC, he might not even be a top 10 quarterback in the AFC. I mean, you can arguably name off 10 quarterbacks better than him and go, yeah, that's probably true.
Well, I guess that wrap up. I'd like to thank everybody watching. Like and subscribe. This has been the TJ McKinley Sports Podcast, aka Zero Chill. When we say what we want, when we want, whatever we want. And Chris, go ahead, let them know how to find you, social media accounts, etc. Let them know.
You can check me out at thelastcallpodcast.com. I'm also on the YouTube channel, The Last Call Podcast on YouTube. I'm on Twitter and X and Instagram and Facebook, all with Last Call Chris C. And thank you, TJ, for letting me join. And yeah, as I said, we're kicking down for a great, at least wild NFL season this year.
Y'all will see Chris in the future. I'll probably start doing some podcasts by myself, whatever. But yeah, like and subscribe. I'm going to have Chris' Twitter account and any other social medias. He's going to put it in the description below. This has been TJ McKinley Sports Podcast, a.k.a. Zero Chill. And thank you all for watching the first episode. There's going to be more to come.